The scholars in the explanation of this hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that actions are based upon intentions, some scholars say that the reason why the Prophet ﷺ made this comment, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that actions are based upon intentions, the reason why the Prophet ﷺ made this comment is because of an incident that happened during the time of the Sahaba where they nicknamed this man Muhajir Qais. Muhajir Qais, the man who migrated for Qais. Some scholars say that this hadith is the reason why the Prophet made the statement, actions are based upon intention. Other scholars say that there are two totally separate instances. One has absolutely nothing to do with the other. Nonetheless, let's take a look at the hadith of Muhajir Qais. All right. This hadith was collected by Imam al-Tabarani on the authority of A'mash, who said that Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, كنا كان فينا رجل خطب امرأة. That A'mash, he said that there was a man during, that Anas said that there was a man during the time of the Prophet ﷺ who proposed to a woman. He never mentioned the man's name, just said that there was a man who was, who proposed to a woman, Muslim man who proposed to a Muslim woman. يقال لها Qais. Some say that her name was Qais. They say that her name was Qais. فأبت أن تزوجه. And she refused to marry him. حتى يهاجر. Until he migrated. Perhaps this happened in Mecca. She migrated to Medina, and she told him that I will not marry you unless you migrate to Medina. You migrate to Medina, then I'll marry you. So she made her marriage conditional, that I'll marry you, but you have to migrate to Medina. Right? فهاجر. So the man migrated. He migrated because he wanted to marry Qais. فَتَزَوَّجَهَا, and he married her once he migrated. He came through on his end, and so she fulfilled the other end, and that was to marry him. I'll marry you, but you have to migrate. And so he migrated, and she married him. فَكُنَّا نُسَمِّيهِ مُهَاجِرْ Qais. So the Sahaba said, we used to call him the migrator for Qais, the man who migrated to marry Qais. That became his nickname amongst the Sahaba, the man who migrated for Qais. All right. And so the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever makes migration for Allah and His Messenger, then his migration is for Allah and His Messenger. And whoever migrates for some portion of the dunya or to take some woman's hand in marriage, then his migration is for that which he migrated for. All right, I'm going to come back to that hadith, but I want to go to the second incident that scholars mention that someone married someone else, right, based upon a condition that they made. All right. The second hadith was collected in the Sunan of Imam al-Nasa'i on the authority of Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhum, who said, خطب Abu Talha Sulaym. That a man by the name of Abu Talha, who was a non-Muslim at the time, who was a non-Muslim at the time, proposed to Sulaym. Sulaym was the mother of Anas ibn Malik. That was Anas's mother. All right, she was a new convert to Islam. Anas was a convert to Islam, and Anas's father never converted to Islam. He died as a disbeliever. So Anas, he's saying that Abu Talha, who was a disbeliever, proposed to his mother. And Sulaym, she refused to marry him. And she says to him, Wallahi ma mithluka ya Aba Talha yurad idha khataba imra'ah. She says to Abu Talha, I swear by Allah, Abu Talha, a man of your stature should never be refused when he asks for a woman's hand in marriage. She's acknowledging that, even as a disbelieving man, you're a good man. I'm not knocking you. A man of your caliber should never be rejected when he asks for a woman's hand in marriage. Any woman would be honored to have you as a husband. She said, لَكِنَّكَ رَجُلٌ كَافِرٌ وَأَنَا امْرَأَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ. She said, or Muslima, she said, but you are a disbeliever. You are a non-Muslim man, and I am a Muslim woman. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لِي أَنْ أَتَزَوَّجَكَ. And it is not permissible for me to be married to somebody like you. Meaning, in the religion of Islam, Islam prohibits a Muslim woman from being married to a non-Muslim man. All right? Islam prohibits. Does anyone know why? Does anyone know why? Is this like some type of oppression to Muslim women? Why Muslim women can marry only Muslim men, but Muslim men can marry women of the book, Christian and Jewish women? Is this some type of imbalance? Is this some type of injustice in the religion of Islam? Why?
It's not considered unjust because the man is supposed to be the leader, and if a Muslim woman marries a non-Muslim, then she's supposed to follow his lead. And if he doesn't believe in Islam, then it would be a conflict for the woman.
Okay. Anybody else?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So I think that the woman cannot marry a non-Muslim male because he can lead her outside of the fold of Islam. But he's permitted to marry a Christian or a non-Muslim woman because he's the leader of his home and he can influence her to take her to Shahada.
Very good. Very good, Sister Sharika. So the same reason that the Muslim woman is not allowed to marry anybody but a Muslim man is the same exact reason that a Muslim man is permitted to marry a woman who is not Muslim, provided that she's from the woman of the book, either Jewish or Christian, of the Jewish faith and Christian faith. The same reason. The same reason Muslim woman is not allowed to marry a non-Muslim man is the same exact reason that the Muslim man is allowed to marry a woman from the book. As because the man usually has the most influence. He usually has the most influence over a woman. Women are very impressionable, especially when they are at the beginning stages of a relationship. They will change their entire life. They'll change their hairstyle. They'll change the type of car they drive. They will change just about everything. I don't know about now. I don't know about today's time because our society has changed and the values have changed and shifted. So women operate a little differently today than they did maybe, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. Right? But a woman will change, pretty much everything about herself. If you guys remember, I think the movie was Soul Food. I think the movie was Soul Food, right? And you remember there were all of the sisters, and then there was one of the younger sister, and they asked her at the dinner table, how many times did she change her major in college? Right? You guys remember that scene? And the grandmother, I think, said, or the mom said, every time she's in a relationship with a man, whatever he's taking up in college, she changes her major to whatever that man is doing in college. Do you guys remember that? I'm not sure if it was Soul Food or not. You guys remember that scene? They're sitting at the table. And I think it was Lauren London who was playing the part. She was like the younger sister. And it was like she changes her major based upon whoever, right, this Christmas, you're right. She said she changes her major based upon whoever she's in a relationship with. You guys follow me? Women are impressionable. Whoever that she's in a relationship with, whatever his major is in college, that's what she changes her major to. She done changed her major multiple times because she's been in multiple different relationships. That's part of the reason why a Muslim woman is not allowed to marry other than a Muslim man, because of the influence. And so if a non-Muslim man comes into a Muslim woman's life, there's a strong possibility that his influence is going to be overpowering and may lead her outside of Islam. Or at very least, if there's children ever to come in between them, then those children will be influenced by their father. The children will take the father's last name. The children will be heavily influenced by the father, and perhaps they will be stripped of the opportunity to even become Muslim. Right. Right. It's just natural as a woman to be a nurturer, to be, you want to please your man. And sometimes there are no boundaries. And this is why it's important for a woman to have a wali in the early engagement period of the marriage process. Because sometimes women forget about the boundaries. The emotional engagement overshadows the logic. The emotional engagement overshadows the logic, whereas the wali, the man, his only investment in the situation is to see his daughter, his niece, his granddaughter, whoever she is, get married. That's his only investment. So he's not emotionally invested in that. So his logic remains intact. So when he sees red flags, when he sees something that might be problematic or a conflict of interest, he can readily spot it. He can spot it immediately. And he can call the man on it. Whereas a woman, here again, she gets emotionally invested and logic goes out the window. I'm not saying all women, and I'm not saying all the time, but in most situations, yes. This is why the wali is an important factor at the beginning stages of the courting process. Because the man is always going to rely on his logic. He's always going to rely on his logic. We're left-brainers. That's how we function, right? We're problem solvers. We use logic for most of our engagements. Whereas women, you use a little bit of logic, but sometimes your emotions overcompensate and oversaturate. And so therefore you find yourself, jammed up. So the same reason that a Muslim man is allowed to marry a non-Muslim woman, provided she is from the women of the book, is the same exact reason that a Muslim woman is not allowed to marry anyone except a Muslim man. So Abu Talha, he proposes to Sulaym. I want to marry you. He's a non-Muslim man. He sees virtue in this Muslim woman. I want to marry you. I'm interested in you. And Sulaym says to him, very respectfully, a man of your caliber should never be rejected when he asks for a woman's hand in marriage. But we have one problem here, and that is that you're a disbelieving man and I'm a believing woman. And it's not permissible for me in my religion to marry someone like you. She said, however, if you take your shahada, this is the point of reference here. If you take your shahada and become a Muslim, then I'll make your shahada my dowry. I'll make your shahada my dowry, and I won't ask you for anything else. I'll make your shahada my dowry. And so Abu Talha, he converts to Islam and they get married. And so Sulaym, she tried to capture the best of both worlds, right? And that was, she wanted to marry him, but she also wanted him to convert to Islam. So she used herself as the bait for that. Very smart woman. She used herself as the bait. She knew that he wanted to be with her. And she knew that depending on how bad he wanted to be with her, he would be willing, or he would be receptive, to the dawah that she was giving him. And so she got the best of both worlds. She got a man to convert to Islam, and she gained him as a husband. All right, she gained him as a husband. And as the Prophet ﷺ says, that if one person converts to Islam by your hands, it is better for you than everything that the sun has risen over. If one person converts to Islam at your hands, then it is better for you. مِمَّا طَلَعَ عَلَيْهِ الشَّمْسِ. مِمَّا طَلَعَتْ عَلَيْهِ الشَّمْسِ. It is better for you than anything that the sun has risen over.